friends, how you doing? Welcome back to another video today. So the other week I shot some film, and today I got the film negatives back. Now, this might seem a bit backwards, but today I'm going to be shooting pictures of this film negative with my digital camera. Let's get into it. Shooting film is such a fun and rewarding experience. The whole analog photography aspect of things with the old film cameras, I mean, just listen to this. And the anticipation of waiting for your film photos is unmatched. It's like opening Christmas presents. But what actually happens to your film while you're patiently waiting at home? Your roll of film is first bathed in chemicals at very specific intervals. Once the film negative is developed, it is then put through a scanner that gives you a digital file, which is then sent to your email. What you may not realize is that the person scanning your film is the one who adjusts the color profile of your images. Basically, you as a customer, you don't really get too much flexibility in terms of the color of your image. If you don't like the way your images turned out, there's honestly not too much you can do about it. I've recently realized that a lot of my friends actually do a lot of developing and scanning of their own film at home. And that leads me to this video today where you're going to come with me and we're going to try to figure out how to do film scanning at home. So after researching a little bit, I found that there are two main options for scanning film at home. And that is number one, a flatbed film scanner such as the Epson V550, or digital scanning with your camera. Personally, I'm going to be taking the camera route because I own a Fujifilm X-T4. That's what I'm shooting this video with. And to pair with that, I've actually chosen an affordable macro lens that should be arriving anytime soon today. Oof, it's been like an hour and I've already got my parcel. I love Amazon. So this is the 7 Artisan 60mm f2.8 macro lens. A macro lens is an essential for scanning film as you need to get really close to your film negative to get the best resolution possible. So watching other people making their setups on YouTube made me realize what I'm going to need for my own setup at home. Typically, most people have a pretty similar setup, and it's pretty much this. Most people's setup include a copy stand, light box, film holder, and a macro lens. So everything here seems quite easy to obtain except for the stand. Seems that like all copy stands are like $200 plus, so I'm going to try to DIY or like figure something out for my room here. So trying to be resourceful here, I bought a small clamp which I'm going to mount my camera to a shelf which is on top of my table. The clamp itself is from a brand called SmallRig and the camera mount just screws on, and I bought it from Amazon. I also purchased this affordable light box from Amazon as well. To hold my film negatives, I decided to go with Lomography's 120 film scanning mask. This is called the Digitalizer and it can hold up to 4 images at once. So I have my camera set up here, but the problem I'm having right now is since this piece of wood isn't attached to the table here, it's not a perfect 90-degree angle. So what I've got going on is the spirit level here showing that the table isn't perfectly level. So for the time being, I'm just putting a little book behind the light table just to get it perfectly even. This isn't a permanent solution, but I think it'll have to do for the time being. Okay, so now we've got our film photos shot as digital images on our computer. Let's import that into Lightroom here. I'm going to be using a program that I recently purchased called Negative Lab Pro. I've watched a couple of quick videos on how to use this application and I think I have a general idea, so why don't we go in and try on this first image here. So what we want to do is firstly get our crop tool. We want to basically just trim all the edges so that there's white borders around our image like so. Maybe we'll straighten it out a little bit while we're at it as well, why don't we? Awesome. So now next thing, this is pretty important, we get the white balance tool and we click on the outside of the film negative. And now we're ready to use Negative Lab Pro. So we're gonna click Control N. Yeah, Control N on Mac keyboards. And yeah, this is the application right here. Basically, we need to select our source, which is digital camera. There's two main film scanners, Noritsu and Frontier. These are like old film scanners that give two different color tones. I'm just gonna stick with Noritsu here, as that's what the tutorial I watched did. Pre-saturation, we're gonna go for 2, just low. This is it. We click convert negatives and then we wait and boom. Cool. Okay, there you go. So that little film negative that we had, we now have a colored image. It's pretty cool. So in this section of Negative Lab Pro, it's just standard color correction. You got exposure, brightness, contrast, you got highlights, shadows, the whites, the blacks, and then you got some effects here, and then you have your color balance on the bottom. So I guess we'll just go from top to bottom and edit this image here. So at this point, if you're happy with your image, you can just click apply and export your file. But if you want to tweak your image, you can click make a copy, and in your advanced settings, click TIFF file, and then click apply, and it will create a TIFF file that you can use all your normal settings to tweak it just like any other raw image. So what I want to do here is actually, I want to change the skin tones a little bit. It seems a little bit green. Okay, I think we've got a nice looking image right here. Let's try it on this. I'm just gonna fast forward through all of this again and we'll see the result. So I think we've got our two final images here. I'm going to export these and then we can have a quick comparison to what the Film Lab gave me. Holy smokes, this is pretty cool. The Film Lab picture that I got back is extremely contrasty. The skin tones are very orange. It's quite a dark image as well. Yeah, wow, look at my image. It's so much more of what I'm into, you know? So I think the biggest difference between these two photos here is the amount of contrast that is added and definitely the richness of the skin tones. Wow, I'm actually quite impressed with how this one turned out. Okay, now the second image looks like I might have shot the picture of the film negative like backwards because the image is flipped. The Film Lab gave me a very contrasty and saturated look. The skin tones are like quite orange and honestly they're not too pleasant. The scan that I did and edited, it's a little nicer. I think the colors are a bit better. I think the skin tone might be a bit too desaturated, to be honest. But what I'm noticing is actually a lot of film dust on my scan. Yeah, look, I'm just gonna have to get better at doing this. I didn't notice it at the time, but there seems to be quite a lot of dust on the film. I even used the blower thing, so. But what do you all think? I mean, this is my first time scanning with Negative Lab Pro and my new macro lens. If you made it this far into the video, you're not subscribed yet, not sure what you're doing, so go on, subscribe. Please like and comment while you're there, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.